Welcome to Rock and Row, the most serene yet rockin' place on earth. We took possession of this cottage on the first day of summer 2019. One of the first projects I worked on was a directional sign. I wanted to pay a bit of a tribute to a great hiking trail near the picturesque place from my childhood. I felt that a replica of these directional signs from the trail near the Polish and Czech Republic border would look great here. I attached them to the tree at the top of the hill just before the cliffs. The signs I created were printed on heavy cardstock, laminated and screwed into the tree. However, once exposed to rain and winds up here, with time the signs deteriorated and became a bit of an eyesore. This year I decided to take them down and replace with something that would last a bit longer. I did not want to recreate the same signs. This time I wanted to focus on this area of our province. So I decided to make it about the iconic locations around here. This has to be one of the easiest woodworking projects you could ever take on, as precision, accuracy, and an arsenal of tools are not necessary. All you need is a pen or a pencil, measuring tape or a ruler, some way of trimming the wood like a skill saw or a jigsaw, paint, varnish for waterproofing, small and large paintbrush, sandpaper or sander, and of course you need some wood. I found a few leftover cedar boards from the construction of the woodshed that I completed last year. One board seemed large enough to make 6 separate signs. I went on Google Earth, picked 6 locations I would like to see featured. It was easy to measure the distance and then create a quick guide for sizing, and once I decided on the font, I printed off a template. You can totally skip this step and do it freehand if you choose. I trimmed the 4-foot-long board down to 6 signs. Getting it perfectly cut was not important because I didn't want them to be identical. This has to look handmade, not store-bought. I used the jigsaw to create the arrow end on each one, then placed my printed template centering it on the sign. To maintain the accuracy of the locations relative to the geographical position, make sure that the arrows point in the right direction based on where the sign will be located. I used the printed signs just as a guide and then traced the lettering with a pen, making sure that I can see the indented markings. I realized that the unit of measure, in this case kilometers, wouldn't quite fit on the sign, at least not for the longer names. But I figured that was not important at all, as the sign is strictly decorative and won't be used as a tourist guide for actual hiking. And by the way, Powerview Pine Falls is 66 kilometers away from here by car. 36 isn't a straight line. Nobody is flying out of here. I outlined my traced marks with pencil and then started to fill the characters in with a black marker. This is where my second mistake occurred. After applying varnish, the wood darkened and the letters became hard to see. And that's when I realized I have to paint them white. This was a process that took the longest, as my hand had to be relatively steady to make it look decent. I sanded down the surfaces to make them smoother. Once I painted, I let it dry in the sun for about 20 minutes and then applied the varnish to protect the surface against the elements and let that sit so it was dried to the touch. The whole process took about 3 hours, including doing research on the locations, finding out the distance, etc. After removing the old signs, I mounted the new ones on the same tree by attaching 2 wood screws in the middle of each sign. I consulted my mock-up again as to where the arrows should be pointing to, and that's all. I hope the signs last much longer than the original ones did. I also think they look much better too. Join me on the next episode when I talk about cottage utility bills and how they compare to the city prices. The differences are vast. This will be a huge eye-opener for some of you unfamiliar with country living. If you found this video interesting, give it a thumbs up and share. Please subscribe and hit the bell and you'll never miss an upcoming video. Thanks for watching.